All right, so Phoenix Sun eliminated, and I know this is the. I know it's like, why are you talking about this, there? I was like, we're over here with a whole bunch of game sixes. Hell, the Celtics and already advanced. So like, why are you trying to bringing up this like old news? Okay, so what I wanted to bring up is really the topic that really gets called is basically is the big three era over, and I think that's a real complicated question. One is that the fact that what is a big three, who is a big three, and the reason I say that is because with Phoenix we call it a big three, but there's no big three in other spots where it's kind of like where, and that brings up like what is a big three, what qualifies a big three. Is it just three big ass contracts like Booker, KD, and Beal? Is it three in name? Is it, I like really what it should be is the talent. Like when it was Westbrook, LeBron, and AD, they call that the big three. Uh, I was like when it was, and that one was really kind of more so a name. Same, I was like the Paul George, Westbrook, Melo one was a little different because it's like we didn't think Melo was that far. I was like that at that point of his career being done. Westbrook just came off an MVP not too long ago, and Paul George had an MVP season that year. So um, now there's always, but I was like, but then people will say big three with like Curry, Clay, and Dre. So what? So I was like this, and this. So one of the reasons why it's complicated is because what gets to qualify as a big three. Now, in saying that, is it over? Yeah. So the new rules with like the taxes and stuff of like the repeater tax, if you got like the repeater tax, the tax if you go over a certain amount, basically where it's like you can't pay this certain amount without paying the price of it, you can't add certain free agents, you can't be in the buyout market, all that other stuff. That may kill the big three. I was like, we seen how it looked with Phoenix, where it was like those three, Grayson Allen, and then everybody else on some men's. I was like, you for nurture was getting paid a decent amount too. Um, but who's to say that you can't get the right ones? It's like you got Euphis Nurkic, where it's just like, yeah, but if you got, I was like, there's a couple of people that sort of making his money that might be more effective than him. It's like so, where like if they would have kept Aiden, yes, Aiden gets all the jokes and all the flack, but would have been as bad. No. Um, I was like Grace and Allen. I was like, could you, I was like, what could you have gotten instead of another scorer? I was like, yes, he plays. I was like, he doesn't really play defense like when he was first coming in, but if you would have got, you know, a point guard with that instead, so I'm like, the roster construction will go a long way in what this means. Uh, because I was like, you really got you get the three, and then you sort of get two or three other pieces before you just get like some men people. And yes, it helps you get older people and stuff like that. But so the league is making it harder to do the big three, which in might be like oh, that answer your question is over. Phoenix losing might be your answer that is over. The Lakers, and on and on. I was like, yes. But let's go back to the original way that we were talking about the big three. And we didn't really give it with Allen, Pierce, and Garnett. We did say they're the big three, but I was like, we really coined the whole term with Wade, Bosh, and LeBron. But what you can say with Pierce, Allen, and Garnett, that you could sort of say a little, I was like, not as much, but as the Heat is, and this is where I think that we say big three, and we really only say it in name and money. And yes, the money especially is the biggest factor, but it's should be the talent, and that's what I'm saying. Like KG, Pearson, Allen. At the time of the NBA, go look to where you think that they would be ranked. Now, granted, they were also older, so that's why I said that we really coined this term really with the Heat, because they was in their primes before all hell broke loose. But I was like, you go look at LeBron, no one playing the league. Wade, you can make it the fact that he was probably number 5 somewhere in there. I was like, he'd been in a couple of MVP discussions and stuff like that. Always had the Heat pretty much somewhere in the playoffs or whatever like that. So, and you could say with Chris Bosh that he was probably top 15. I was like, you could probably say that with the Celtics as well too. You could probably say KG, Pierce, Allen was somewhere. All three was somewhere 15, 20 range or whatever. Now let's look at other ones that have been called that. LeBron, I was like, you can still say he was a top 10 guy. I was like, even though we know AD could be hurt, maybe like 15 or something like that. Did you feel Westbrook was 15? No. Most of y'all don't feel like he was 20. By then, that was his third team since Oklahoma. And I was like, I think at least like 4 or 5 years after his MVP season, none of y'all would have said that he probably is top 20. So now let's look at let's go to Paul George. I was like Paul George, Carmelo, and Westbrook. You can say Paul George, yeah, probably top 10. Westbrook at that time, you give him 10, 15. Melo, yeah, y'all gotta be honest. And I was like, it's probably even lower because y'all didn't like Melo, especially then. So he's low. I'm trying to think of some other ones that we've had during this time or whatever. And I'm talking about and I was like, no, the Spurs don't count. I know you want to call Parker and Tim and Ginobili, but no. Steph, Clay, and Dre. You could say Steph, yes, top 5 player, even higher if you wanted to go that far. Clay, I was like, you could probably say 10 to 12, somewhere else. I was like around there, yeah. Draymond, I was like, and that just sort of how it depends on how you feel about his impact, defense, and all that other stuff. But whatever. Now let's see what we're talking about with Phoenix. Booker. You might say 12, somewhere in there. KD, you still might give him 12. Yeah, somewhere in there, maybe. But you can say both top 15. Now, do you feel Bill is anywhere there? 20? So, no. So, that's the thing with where I'm like, the big 3 can work if you have big 3 players. And there's really not that. There's really not that combination that you could say where it's like Wade, LeBron, Bosh. Like where we're gonna go back to the term of it all. There hasn't really been that. There's been like one like great player in a sense, good player, friend player, and then somebody that's like they get paid like it. So that's why I like. I know we're saying it's done, it's over, but it's not. To me, it's not really done. It's over. And and it's one of the things that's weird that kind of like, kind of like on one hand, they'll talk about the talent of the league and stuff like that, and talent, skill, whatever you want to say, and it's like, yes, the money is outrageous and enormous now. as well as it was back then with all the stuff. But how many players in the league that you could find that you could feel like that would be a feasible combination with where you could call it a big three? You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, like Dallas, if they get if they got another player, like yes, if they got Joel Embiid, that's a big three. You got two top five players, and Kyrie Irving is like a top 15 player. That's a big three. Um, I like they try to say big three with Giannis, Middleton, and Dame. Hell no. I was like, and that's sort of how you still feel about Dame too at this point. I was like, there's a difference between your top three players and the big three. And I'm just saying, they ain't like as much as y'all want to say talent, league, and all this other stuff or whatnot. There's really just not that way to do it. And it's like, yes, of course, the money is hindering and stopping, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you still can't find ways around it. If you, especially if you get it at a certain time or whatever, and people, and also too, they're not just like like the way they was doing it back then to do it. I was like, nobody's really doing that now. The Clippers, whatever combination you want to put there to try to be like big three, ain't no damn big three. Like you want to say Kawhi, George, Harden could have been a big three. No, none of them was real. I was like, you could say Paul George and Harden. Yes, they probably. You could say probably maybe 20 or whatever like that. And Kawhi, you just don't know what you get in order to rank them. Yeah, I was like, is it done? I was like, probably so. Cause everybody's like, oh, you gotta build a team nowadays in order to do it. And it's like, first of all, that's like some of the narratives is stupid because like you needed a team back then too. I was like he got beat by a team of the Spurs, but nobody was out here like you need a team out here. You need a team nowadays. Nobody ain't saying that. Everybody's saying that shit now because of Denver and stuff. But I'm like, nobody was saying that back then. I was like, hell, when it was Golden State, I was like people were building teams and they matter. So I'm like, if you got at least two high octane people. Also, the positions of stuff matter. You want like Phoenix also didn't work is because a lot of those players are like those three players are really the same. They're the same. Like Bill and Booker is really kind of like past like before and after. Like Bill being the scorer, the midi. I was like the way he goes. I was like not saying like the playing style, but the things they do, how they want to play is very similar. Where it's like at least with Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo, it was like three different spots of y'all doing stuff. I was like the same idea. I was like Westbrook and LeBron couldn't work because they're too redundant in that situation. Like that's also with this too, is that the big three also have to make sense from a team construction. And then you fill in the spots there. I was like, so I'm like, is it done or going to be done? Yes, it's going to be done. Nobody's going to do this. Also, how many people also got really the money to do it? Like the reason the Phoenix did it is the Clippers will do it. Only a few teams going to do it. So it's like it's done from a financial standpoint, but the idea of it can still exist. Especially like guess what? Like the Thunder sort of going to be here soon. Almost like with Shea, Chet, and Jalen Williams, we're gonna call that a big three soon, and they're all gonna end up making more money. But they all they all from the same team, so therefore it ain't gonna hit them the same way. It'll hit the rest of them because they're gonna have to let those other pieces go. But it's not gonna hit as a team trying to construct something. That's how it's trying to be destroyed. That's how the owners don't really want it. So it's just it's not it's done. But also, I just don't. I just think that I don't. I like not that the GMs aren't savvy enough to try to make it work. I just think that the numbers and the analytics are going to tell you because everybody's sort of building their team the same way. And I think that's also a thing too is that a lot of players now sort of got the same skill set. Like like they're all sort of skilled in the same way to where it's like I'm like that's why even still it's no different than back in the day. The talent still is the same crop that rises up and did a golf, but the big three could still work. It just depends on. I was like you just have to find you have to maximize them at the right times and also maximize how they also all play. If that makes any sense. Anyway, I was like, let me know what you think. What you feel? You think that hoopla? It is. I was like, it's a thing, or it could come back. It'll come back at some point around. Maybe so. Maybe the Celtics. Maybe they'll figure out how they're gonna have two dudes that's gonna make crazy money, and we'll see how they are. But anyway, till then, I'm out.